Okay, hi everyone. I hope you're ready to do this lovely little lunchtime canvas called Reflections at Sea. Grab your stuff and let's get started. What I want you to do is load up on your palette. My nice used palette, look at this. Yellow, green, blue, black, and white. You can add, I've got two different color yellows here because the yellow that I use is a little bit light. So I've put a darker yellow in there as well. Whatever color you've got, I want a slightly orange yellow for my sun. So if you've got a slightly darker yellow, that's what you need to use. All right, let's get started. There's my canvas. I'm going to cover the canvas with my biggest brush first, the background with the biggest brush. So using this brush, I'm going to dip that in the water, dry it off on the cloth, and I'm going to make a light blue for the sky. Now to do that, I have to put dark blue in my mixing the palette area, take a little bit of the white, mix that in until I have a color that I'm happy with, which is a light blue. That's pretty good for me. Let's move on. My sunset, my skyline, the horizon is not going to be in the middle. It's going to be slightly above the middle. So I'm going to make my horizon for my sky around there. That's about a third of the canvas down. Cover the whole of the top of the canvas in a light blue. There we go. And because this is a stretch canvas, we're going around the sides as well. A little bit more of that light blue. Put it around the sides, top, and this side too. There you go. Make sure it's all covered and smooth across the front. Now you can add a little bit of sky detail in here by putting plain white on your brush. I haven't even washed that brush off. And rolling in a few clouds there. I want the top of my clouds to be a little bit whiter than the bottom. So there, I've rolled some in there. I'm going to roll in a few more there. And then a little trick you can use is to take a dry brush and blend the bottom of the cloud in to your sky with a dry brush. So now that I've blended that sky in, I want to make my water. The water, to wash my brush off because I don't want any white on this. Not to start with. Wash and dry my brush. And the reason I dry the brush, if you have a look here, is that brush needs to be clean of all paint. Now I want to mix a blue and a green color together to make a turquoise. Beautiful color turquoise there. That color is going to be the color of my sea. I'm going to make the sea, give myself as straight as a horizon as I could possibly get, and around the corners. And I'm going to color in the sea in that beautiful turquoise color. Make some more paint if you need it. Make sure that the whole of the bottom of your canvas is covered. Nice and quick and easy. Can go over it to make it a little bit darker. And around the edges too. And as you see, I'm going sideways over the edge because my sea has a sideways swipe. There we go. Cover the bottom of the canvas. Here we go. Make sure everything on the canvas is covered. That's my sea. Right, when you've covered the whole of the canvas with that beautiful turquoise colour, what I'd like you to do now is wash your brush off and load plain white on it. While this paint is wet, let's put a bit of highlight into the bottom of the sea here, coming towards you. Coming towards me, the bottom of my sea here is going to be a little bit paler. Don't forget to go around the sides as well. So I've added a little bit of white, and then you blend it by going over the colour until it's nicely blended down. Right, now I need to wait for that to dry just a little. So I'm washing that brush off because I'm going to add some detail in there which needs the paint to be a little bit dry. So how's yours going? Right, mine's a little bit drier. Don't know how yours is, but I'm going to add some more detail into my sea now by loading plain blue on the same brush and then putting a few little blue detailed lines in here. As it's further away from me, my sea is a little bit choppy today, so as it goes further away, my strokes are a little smaller to indicate that it's choppy back there. And they're further away. As it gets closer to me, I'm going to make longer detailed strokes. It's still a little wet, but I can use that. So that's plain blue. You can see how lovely that looks. As it gets closer to me, my strokes will get longer. A little bit choppy out there today. There we go. Now for a little bit of green detail. Washing that brush off, I'm going to load plain green on that brush and do exactly the same. Do exactly the same with some green. So I've got some green strokes interspersing the blue. Kind of blends your turquoise colours together. Don't forget to go around the side of the canvas as well. Make sure that you have some interesting strokes around the side of the canvas too. And across the bottom. Right, when that's done, I want my sun to be in that section of the sky. So I'm going to wash my brush off, load some yellow onto that brush and put a sun in there. My sun is going to be a semicircle that sits around there in the sky area. If it's too light, add a little bit of red into it to make it a tiny touch of orange. You can see it's a little touch of orange in there now. I want that sun to come into the sea too. So as it comes down towards you into the sea, I'm going to load my brush up with yellow again and put a few little waves at the back there. It's coming straight down towards me. And I can see it reflected off the waves. Add some more longer ones here. If your paint is still wet like mine is, just keep adding some more. Wipe your brush off and add some more yellow. There's the sun coming towards me, shining off the waves in the sea. Last detail I want to add in my sea is the sunlight shining on the waves. As it shines on the waves and the waves are moving, you will get the light effect just sparkling off the edge of the waves. As it's further away from you, there'll be just little dots in the water. I'd like to have a white line underneath my sun there to make sure that I know that that's where my sun is going down. Highlights it from the sea. As your highlights come towards you, they get a little bit longer in the sea. Same movement as I made for the blue and the green, but it's just a little bit of a sparkle on the tops of the waves. As the sun's going down, it's catching them. And in the middle here, you can add some white going across. Some of those white sparkles going across your yellow reflection. You don't need an awful lot to make a big difference on this canvas. So here it is. As it's coming closer, I've got more light shining. Don't forget to go around the side of the canvas with that as well. 1 or 2 little highlights across the side of the canvas, and that's done. Last thing I want for this sea scene is to add in some birds. For that, I'm going to take the thinnest brush that I have and only load a tiny bit of black onto that brush. And if you have a look to see, I want to have a point on this thin brush. So I'm going to roll this brush on the palette or on the side of the palette here until I have a point, because I want to use the thinnest edge of that brush to make my birds. Now a bird, the wings of the bird are mirror reflections. So when you do one wing that looks across kind of like that, I want to have another wing that looks exactly the same. My bird. No bird flies at the same height or with the same wing shape, so I'm going to do a bird that looks like that, with its wings a little bit higher, and maybe a little one down here too, a little bit further away, slightly smaller. And there's my birds. I'm quite happy with that. So the last thing I have to do is sign my picture. Please sign your pictures no matter what, because they are yours. There we go, I'm signed. So hope you enjoyed that.